Hello everyone, welcome to my channel RPG Retro Reviews. I'm Captain Courageous and I review old school modules and games and try to give them a fun and informative analysis. This week I'm taking a look at another old school Renaissance game, but this one is the one that really started them all, Osric, the old school reference and index compilation. Going forward, this game set the standard on which a myriad of other such clones would have to live up to. But before we begin, just a quick channel announcement. I'm extremely happy to announce the official launch of my Teespring store, Ye Old School Shop. I've engaged the talents of fantasy artists James V. West and Phil Stone to create these wonderful art pieces that encourage the viewer to game on. James is probably best known in the OSR community for his old school style, hand-drawn character sheets. His work was prominently featured during the launch of the Blue Home Journeyman rules as well as Old School Essentials, and for the first piece, James did a phenomenal job with this adorable dragon. Phil Stone's artwork is featured in quite a few gaming publications, and he also did a phenomenal job on this foul-looking troll. I fully intend to engage the talents of other old school artists for some fun original art that reflects the philosophy of this channel. Another great way to help support the channel and get some great swag to bring to your gaming table. From your official gaming t-shirt to a bag to carry your game stuff, or just a mug to hold the brew of your choice while you slay orcs and dragons. Check out yeoldschoolshop.com. Patrons to the channel receive a 15% discount on all merchandise. Checkout code is in your Patreon messages. Links to my Teespring store, Ye Old School Shop, and purchase links are below the description. What other old school style images would you like to see? Please let me know in the comments below, and your idea might just show up in the shop. Alright, with that bit of business out of the way, let's begin. Released in 2006 and made possible by the release of Wizards of the Coast's open gaming license for the third edition of the game Dungeons & Dragons, Osric, or the Old School Reference and Index compilation, was written by Matt Finch and Stuart Marshall. Matt Finch is a well-known pillar in the OSR community, having also founded Frog God Games and written the very popular Swords and Wizardry OSR clone. Though that game is really a restatement of the original D&D Little Brown booklets. Osric, on the other hand, is a rather faithful restatement of the first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rules. Osric is currently maintained by Stuart Marshall. The game itself has undergone several revisions and reprints and is now currently in its third edition, and it's that edition that will be the focus of this review. At its core, Osric is a restatement of 1st edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, so if you are familiar with that edition of the game, then pretty much most of what's here will be familiar. However, the serial numbers have been filed off, as it were, with a removal of anything copyrighted by TSR Wizards of the Coast and references to AD&D. Also gone is the Gygaxian prose, and while some may espouse the virtue of Gary Gygax's writing style, and certainly I'm one of them, Osric benefits greatly from its clear and concise writing style and superior organization. A lot of the rules that seemed confusing or overly complex in the AD&D 1E Dungeon Master's Guide are nicely broken down and given clear examples here, making Osric a great read even if you think you know everything about the first edition of the game. However, this is not a direct recreation, and certain elements have been omitted, and for the most part, I'd say for the better. The most glaring omissions are the lack of psionics, the lack of the monk and bard class, though certainly if you value these elements of the game, you can easily add them back via the original source material or independent supplements that can be found online. Also missing is the armor class adjustment by weapon type, which due to its complexity wasn't used by most players of the game anyway, including Gygax himself. The purpose of this rule set is stated clearly in its introduction, and that was to allow authors and designers to produce adventure modules and supplements without having to reference back to copyrighted material. to provide a single resource whereby players of the game and game designers could still refer to classic old school style play like that experienced in the 1980s. Certainly the original intentions of the author's ideas have been wildly exceeded, and as written in his latest introduction, beyond all expectations, with many different OSR game companies and designers creating content for this rule set. And rightly so. Not only are the rules clearly stated, they are fastidiously organized and indexed. Amazingly, the 3-volume set of rules from AD&D have been compiled and distilled into a single easy-to-reference volume, and the result is quite spectacular. In fact, the book opens with an alphabetical list of spells, then monsters, and finally magic items. That follows up with a glossary of common terms found in the game, such as what an attribute is, what a character class is, what a demi-human is, a bit on dice notation, and so on. Of course, in the back of the book is a comprehensive index of its contents. I very much enjoyed reading these rules, and they clarified quite a few ambiguities that were prevalent in the original publication, many of which I thought I knew. For example, for 40 years I've always just played surprises occurring on a 1 or 2 of the die roll, and while this is fundamentally correct, the rules spell out some additional aspects I personally had read many years ago but never fully absorbed. As many know, AD&D combat is resolved in rounds of combat consisting of 1 minute each. That minute is further subdivided into 10 segments of 6 seconds each. During the surprise round, if the die indicates a 1, there is a 1 segment of combat for the side not surprised, in which all the actions that normally take place in a full round occur in a single segment. So far, so good. However, additionally, if a 2 is rolled, then the opposition gets 2 segments of full combat before the surprise party can act. Furthermore, some creatures have a surprise roll of a 1 to 3, and if a 3 is indicated on the die, then they get 3 segments of full combat before the surprised party gets to act. There are many such clarifications with examples. I'm sure some people are already quickly typing in the comments, "Of course, didn't you know that, dummy?" But I did not, so sue me. Anyway, there are many such clarifications with examples throughout the rule set stated clearly that, to me at least, make Osric worthwhile to have if you enjoy first edition gameplay. In addition to the organizational upgrade, there are also a few system name changes. These don't really change how things work in the game, but suggest wider range of uses for them. For example, instead of open doors or bending bars, lifting gates, these are referred to as minor and major tests of strength, with the aforementioned nomenclature serving as the type of test the rolls represent, which is a subtle but clever clarification. Osric is rife with these things throughout the rules, and it certainly opens up many opportunities for DM to cleverly resolve in-game situations. One of the many reasons that people enjoy OSR games is the open nature of the system, where the DM has a lot more leeway when it comes to task resolution. In regards to organization, there are quite a few interesting choices made. Rather than list racial differences in a chart, for example, each such instance is found within the listing for that race. There are a few subtle simplifications in the rules as well. For example, under dwarfs, all abilities have simply been listed as a percentile roll rather than listing the percentage chance of success and then using a different dice for resolution as in the original rules. While essentially it's the same, the Osric presentation is much cleaner and consistent. These spell listings are still separated by class as per the original rules. However, they are grouped together and listed alphabetically as a whole rather than under each level. This is a vast improvement in my opinion, as I always found these spell listings by level inconvenient, and then you had to know what level a spell was before you could look it up, which meant picking out of the overall list of spells in the front and then thumbing to the appropriate level listing. The organizational listing choice for monsters is an interesting one here as well. Rather than listing all the monsters by alpha as is typical, they are grouped by type, In essence, humanoids, giants, demons, devils, dinosaurs, undead, and so on. However, as mentioned previously, there is a compiled index listing in the front of the book. In practice, while I had some reservations, I actually found this to be an improvement, as well as when constructing an adventure, all the creatures of a type are grouped together and you can easily read about their individual capabilities rather than having to thumb through a type that is scattershot listed throughout a volume. The rules for combat are likewise presented in a cohesive and easy to follow manner, bringing everything that was listed in the Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide together. Furthermore, the various niche rules from the Dungeon Master's Guide are expertly reorganized for ease of understanding. Campaign rules for exploration of wilderness and various environments are also here as well, all reorganized and represented for greater understanding. Of course, the magic item listings are as comprehensive as you would expect, and the sections on treasure acquisition and experience are well detailed and exceeded my expectations. The back of the book contains a compiled list of tables, further easing the burden of running and playing the game. Acquiring this game as a PDF has never been easier. Just go to osricrpg.com and download the PDF. It's free, and it does have quite a bit of amazing artwork included, a lot more than I would have thought for a free product, and quite a few pieces that are black and white in the print version are presented in color here. Getting a print version of the game is a bit trickier, but not that hard. The printing of the game is currently being handled by Black Blade Publishing. Their online store is not functional at the moment, so you will need to email John Hirschberger directly. Osric will run you about $29 plus shipping. You might want to also order the print version of Monsters of Myth as well for $29 to save on shipping. John's email is in the description below. Now, I ordered this book and it is a hefty tome and it's pretty impressive. This is not some print-on-demand quality book. This is a high-quality cloth and stitched binding, which means it sits open easily and will hold up under rugged conditions that gamers are likely to put on a tome like this. Of course, the printing is absolutely gorgeous and the artwork really pops, especially the full-page plates. So in addition to being a well-organized and functional rules booklet and reference work, it's also pretty to look at and rugged. Given the fact that collectors' prices on eBay and other places are making collecting the original AD&D books an expensive proposition, and that Osric has done a fantastic job of reorganizing the presentation of the game into a cohesive and easy-to-follow rules set, there are a lot of good reasons to grab this book if you like first edition Dungeons & Dragons gameplay. Furthermore, there is a ton of material to be found online from independent creators such as Dark Wizard Games that are producing new and original content for it. That's not to say that the original Dungeon Master's Guide and Monster Manual should be ignored. As I've said in much detail in another video, the Dungeon Master's Guide is a book with pearls of wisdom that make it relevant regardless of what edition you're playing or what game you're playing. Every role player should have an opportunity to read about the game in its original Gygaxian. The Monster Manual is 100% compatible with Osric, and some of the more popular monsters, like Mind Flayers for instance, don't appear in Osric due to SRD copyright issues. So certainly it's worthwhile to have those books, but for ease of play at the table and reference, Osric does exactly what its title implies that it does, and it does it very efficiently. So let's go ahead and take a look at Osric, the old school reference and index compilation on my D20 scale of style, presentation, and value. The style here is impressive. In addition to Matt Finch's quality artwork, the Osric team has compiled a talented group of folks to do a phenomenal job at capturing the essence of old school play and inspire the imagination. There are quite a few full page pieces as well. I found paging through this voluminous tome to be quite enjoyable, and the stirrings to run a game with this book planted in my head. This is laid out in an appealing manner that makes a lot of sense. From the hardcover to the cloth bindings, it's clear a tremendous amount of love and care has gone into this book, and I'll rate this a 19. The presentation for Osric is striking in just how good it is. If you were looking for a full-on quality OSR, that offers great player options as well as plenty of meat for the game master. You can't go wrong here. Whether it's the planning stages of a campaign or at the gaming table, this is a reference work that lives up to its name. If you love 1st edition Dungeons & Dragons or are interested in that rule set as a curiosity, you really can't go wrong. There is new content being produced for this game, as well as a phenomenal amount of backlog material going back through its 15-year history that a referee can access to include in their campaigns, so I'll rate this a 19 as well. Finally, as far as value goes, the PDF is free, which is kind of hard to beat. Further, as of the release of this video, there is a new print run available for Osric. That, as I said, is of very high quality and reasonably priced. The complete game, all in one volume for only $29.99 plus shipping. That's a critical hit, natural 20. That brings the overall rating for Osric, the Old School Reference and Index Compilation, to a 19. Amazing. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you found this review informative and useful. Coming up later this week with many requests for this in the comments section over the years, I'm going to reveal my own personal favorite OSR rule set and why. After that, I'm going to return to the Lost City to review Goodman's Games Classic Adventures Reincarnated series version. As usual, I'd like to give a big shout out to all of my wonderful patrons. Your continued support makes these videos possible. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you enjoyed this old school module review, please help support the channel by giving it a like, comment, and share. Check out my Teespring store, Ye Old School Shop. Follow me on Twitter and join the channel's Facebook page, Dungeons & Dragons RPG Reviews. Consider supporting the channel and more content like this by becoming a patron yourself, or alternatively, you can just leave a tip in my PayPal tip jar. Links for everything is in the description. And as always, my friends, may your D20 roll true and game on.